I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Board of Leavenworth County Commissioners. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, all three commissioners are present today. I'd like to open up the portion of public comment. Please come forward, state your name and address. Mr. Herring.
Joe Herring Surveying, 315 North 5th Street. Just a real quick question about last week. We were going to talk about the letters from planning and zoning, and I thought that was going to be Thursday, but yes. I didn't see it on the agenda that I got emailed out. Could be missing it. I just want that clarified.
Oh, we were going to do it during planning and zonings.
So it's not an agenda item?
Yeah, it's just planning and zoning has their report, and we're going to discuss it then.
Okay. I guess it just didn't get put in the agenda,
right.
but it
we are going to discuss.
There are some interested parties that would like to be here. Just need to inform them. So.
Well, yeah.
All right, thank you.
It'll be fairly quickly.
Good morning, my name is Jeanette Labby-Holdeman. I live at 824 H Road in Lansing. I'm here today to support the Patriot Highway. I have lived in Lansing for 43 years, and I have seen the growth in Johnson County and north of the river to such an extent because of the highway capabilities and the ability of the population to get there and back wherever they were going. Lansing and Leavenworth Leavenworth County has somewhat been left out of this because we do not have the connectivities. And in the past 20 years, we have had multiple traffic lights put on K7, which makes it like 15 minutes longer to get anywhere. My husband and I are privileged to own property in Texas, and we use this wonderful highway around Austin, Texas, that goes all the way to San Antonio. It's also a privately owned highway that was created, and I will tell you that the building up around that of industry, light industry population has been significant over the last 5 years. I see that actually this Patriot Highway would be a lifeline for the Leavenworth County to be able to proceed and grow in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak at this time?
Good morning. My name is Michael Strick, and I live at 18238 Donahue Road in Tonganoxie, Kansas. Excuse me. And I'm in opposition of the Patriots Highway. I'm here to disclose that. I live out west there, and I think if we're talking about population growth, out west isn't where the need for a highway is. I think more money should be spent on the infrastructure on K7, removing traffic lights, creating overpasses, and keep the country, what everybody moved out here for.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Wendy Scheid. I own two farms in Leavenworth County, 13760 166th Street and 18867 Tonganoxie Road. Currently, I'm in opposition because I don't feel like the county has done any planning. I see nothing in your comprehensive plan for this type of project. I see nothing in 2016. I believe it came up in February. I'd like to know where your public meetings are. I understand this is a private development, but I think your constituents in Leavenworth County should have the opportunity to review and see what you're thinking about. And are you really thinking about this? Has this been in your thought process? Do you have planning for the next 5 to 10 years with this included? I think the MOU, although it doesn't state it openly, you're going to be obligating the taxpayers to many thousands of dollars, if not millions, in acquiring properties for this. That's going to be on your back. The Via Maris entity is either just formed or is defunct. I don't see any track record for that. We're a beautiful ag county, and I think we should grow, but I think we should support our agribusinesses, our agritourism, and really build up that part of our county and keep it a beautiful county. Many other comments if we're asked to speak later on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak, public?
Good morning. My name is Patrick Vielhauer. My address is 18225 Prairie View Drive. I'm at the intersection of Evans Road and 182nd Street. I'm here to speak in opposition of the Patriot Highway. I moved out here 15 years ago to get away from the hustle and the bustle of Johnson County, so I like the quiet. And I believe that I'd like to keep it this way, and all I can say is if it's going through your front yard, how would you feel? From what I understand, it's proposed to go very close to my property or where I live, and I don't want that. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Clem?
Louis Klemp, 1816 Pine Ridge Drive, Leavenworth, Kansas. I would like to speak about the Patriot when that comes on the schedule at 9:30. And I appreciate all the people showing up that did. Usually you don't have anybody show up, and that was very good, 3-2. The main reason I'm here is in the paper was an article about LCDC. And I think that people lose track of what the county has done, and it's definitely done some things to the good. We've had some hard times getting to where it's good, but we've done some good things. But I thought it was very interesting that Lansing, Baser, and people seem to forget who brings the money into the 1-cent sales tax. It isn't Baser, it isn't Tonganoxie. It isn't Lansing, it's Leavenworth. So if you go down the schedule, and I did this with old-time math. I don't know modern math, and I think that went out anyway. But they were asking for $302,999. And the county's portion of that is $81,809. City's portion is $81,809. Port Authority is $81,809, and we know the Port Authority doesn't really have any money. Private is $51,509, and they get a few other funds, but it actually comes to the $302,999. Now the private, and I really don't know where I get anything out of anything on the 1-cent sales tax, because I seem to pay for everything else I get, and I'm part of the private. Leavenworth gets $5 million for the industrial park, and they get half, and I'm using old figures, you know, that was put out on this sheet of what it was going to cost for the highways. Leavenworth gets $7.5 million, so that's $12.5 million that they're getting out of the 1-cent sales tax. Probably ought to put on my glasses. Lansing, they get $7 million for McIntyre. We don't know for sure. I think it said it was a little higher than that, but we're just rounding out. I'm rounding out figures. They get half, $7.5 million for Eisenhower. They get half that. Half that road is theirs. So they're actually getting $14.5 million. They're getting more than Leavenworth. That's more. Baser, they're way out of whack. Supposedly it came in to $5 to $6 million, but Baser only pays in $9,817 out of that portion. Tonganoxie's paying in $7,362, and they got $5 million, but they're kicking in some funds. Lansing gets $17,179,000, and Leavenworth's getting $47 million. That's what they're paying, I should say. $47,449. So if you look at it, Leavenworth, who's bringing in the most taxes, they're getting the least amount for what they're kicking in. So I'd like to see some of these cities sit down, and the last thing I wrote up here, everything in the industrial park in Leavenworth, Kansas, goes to Leavenworth and the Lansing School District. Now, maybe the city doesn't consider the Lansing School District in the city, I don't know. But all these cities that are saying, we're not getting our share, they're getting their share and a little bit more, and we've got to conserve some of these funds to do something for the rest of the county. We got a couple other cities, I think, and they're not getting anything out of it, and we've got other county roads. And as of right now, and I agree with the engineer, he'd like to see some of this to be paid for with cash rather than dispersing out the interest. So it doesn't all have to be spent in the first 5 years. It can be spent a little bit later as we do other projects. So I just wanted to disperse old-fashioned math about who's getting what kind of money. And the county is doing a very good job with the money that they're bringing in. They're being very generous. And I'd like to speak on the Patriot Road because I've got some questions and ideas, and I know John can get the answers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Clint. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right. Has the commissioners had a chance to look at the minutes?
I have. I make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 18th, 2017.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 Mark, you have any administrative business this time?
I'm going to speak for Mark. Just
all right. That's fine.
His voice is going out. We were notified by IT late or mid-afternoon on Thursday that there was a glitch in the recording of the meeting on Thursday. Nothing was edited or anything like that, but there was a glitch which caused a break in the recording. And so I think IT's looking into it to try and figure out what's going on, but we just wanted to make it clear that everyone understood nothing was edited intentionally out of it. It was just a technical glitch.
Okay, that's good. So everybody heard that. We did not delete portions of the meeting. It was a technical difficulty. So I'm sure IT will bring us up to speed when they find out what happened.
Yeah,
if they can. Kind of, Mr. Klemp probably caused that when he was saying how good it was. So but anyways, administrative business. Okay, we're ready to move on to canvassing the votes for the City of Lansing sales tax.
Board, would you please go into the Board of Canvassers, make a motion to go into the Board of Canvassers.
So moved.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 On May 6th, you can
Wants to
just
come
stay after
down.
all the way down. This is pretty easy. Since
Okay,
it's a
I figured it
mail-ballot
would be.
election. On May 16th was the final day for the City of Lansing's 0.45 increase in sales tax. It was a mail ballot election. We mailed out 5,398 ballots to the voters in the City of Lansing. We received back 2,165, which was a 41% turnout. This did pass. Yes was 1,110. No was 1,053. It was very close, 56 votes, but it did pass. So I have a report here of the voters that did participate and vote in the election. So I would just like to have a motion to approve the election from May 16th for the City of Lansing sales tax question.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the vote as taken by the City of Lansing in regard to their tax increase.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 And I'll just have each one of the commissioners sign off on this.
Mark, can I borrow your pen? I left mine in your office. Thank you. I might even return it.
This sales tax increase will begin
Yeah, just put your initials on there for me, Bob.
This sales tax will begin October 1st of this year. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Need a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Voting?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Human Resources.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tamara Copeland, HR. I have our quarterly report, and so as of last quarter, we have increased overall employment by 1 person for the first quarter of 2017. Per your recommendations last quarter, I separated out the turnover by department and added in the extra column to identify the difference between employees that are involuntary terminated versus an involuntary termination that would be in other categories, such as the job ended. We have a lot of that happen in the summertime when flaggers in for the summer, or jobs that were just brought on for a temporary purpose. As you can see, we did have 1 in the commission administrator, and that just shows that there was a turnover in the commission. Overall, we try to set goals to keep turnover under control. The quarterly goal is 2.5% to 3.75%, and our annual goal is around 10 to 15%. As you can see, in the first quarter of 2017, the turnover was 18 positions. That's about 4.29%, so we're just a little bit high, but we are better than last year at this same time. Regarding workers' compensation, our workers' compensation rate for 2017 is 0.76%. This is a decrease of 0.10% from 2016. This is going to be a savings for the county of about $77,709 for the year. As of first quarter 2017, we did have 7 workers' comp claims. This is a little bit high for this quarter, so we'll have to see how we do the rest of the year. As far as non-injury incident reporting, as of March 31st, we had 16 incident reports. This is an increase of about 14% from our fourth quarter totals. So this is also a little bit high. So obviously our first quarter, we had a few more accidents both on the work comp and the non-injury side. For FMLA tracking purposes, for first quarter, we have had 16 FMLA claims. This is a 33% increase from fourth quarter. Again, this also puts us high for the first quarter. For the Kansas Department of Labor rates, our rate for 2017 is going to be 0.22%. We've been slowly decreasing our overall unemployment rate, and we decreased it by 0.83% in the last 2 years. So we're going to see a savings this year of $103,630. This comes because we are actively addressing all claims coming in and making sure that we have the appropriate documentation, so when somebody files an unemployment claim, we win those hearings, and that helps bring down our rate. And it just shows that we're not terminating in ways that we don't have the documentation to support it. In 2017, for the HR budget, our quarterly goal for March is 25%. And as you can see, we are currently under budget by 4.12%. As far as HR updates, we have completed the ADP and ACA 1095 reporting system integration process. That was a process that we started last summer, and we have worked into this year to get it all the tweaks taken care of. We still have a few things that we're still working with ADP on. There's a few glitches that they have with certain calculations of of individuals for this process, so we have to manually handle those at the end of the year. That's what happened this year when we did our 1095s. We ended up manually processing all of the 1095s. So that's about 400 that we had to look at for that process. We did get all of the W-2s out on time on January 26th. We also sent out all of the CAPER's annual statements that everybody should have gotten in March. And we have also sent out the 2018 draft budgets to all the departments. We give them their roster sheet for personnel so that they can use that to draft their 2018 personnel budgets. We continue to update our processes and policies and procedures. We're trying to start looking at the share drive because it's just become convoluted, so we're trying to start looking at that to see how we can clean it up and make sure that the new stuff's out there. HR has also been working quite actively this first quarter as part of the annual audit for the county. We've been pulling a lot of records for the auditors, those types of things, pulling together audit reports that they request. I think we're pretty much wrapped that up, so I think we're done with that unless they come back for some more before they finalize their process. And the HR department has created some significant savings for the county. So far, we've totaled up about $115,000. This is in payroll and benefit cost savings that we've done through different efforts that we've been working on. And I've also reattached the 2017 payroll percent withholdings worksheet and the work comp rate sheets. These are used as part of 2018 planning for their budgets. So they use these worksheets to kind of make sure they got the right numbers in for each person when they're putting together the personnel budgets. We are in the process right now of working very closely with Halyard Reed and Riley's insurance company. We're going to be, Mark and I will be working closely probably over the next month, just trying to address what our rates will be for the 2018 period. And then this will be used for our open enrollment, and open enrollment will start in the middle of August. So we have to get all those things in place, and so we'll be actively working on those projects, and then we'll start going into the open enrollment process for the 2018 year. And that is all, unless y'all have some questions.
I just have a question, on your unemployment. Does this board ever get numbers for people who were terminated, like say in the year of 2016, what they received in settlements?
No, we do not get that. If they actually qualify for unemployment, they get notified by Kansas Department of Labor that they are qualified because they met the criteria, and then they can draw out as much as they want. The way we'll see it is we get an annual statement on our contributions. We'll get an annual statement. That's where we would probably see those items of what was actually paid out that cost us. So yes, we do get an annual statement, but we don't put that out to the public because it has their names on it.
Well, I think what I'm asking is the people that got an attorney and said they were wrongfully terminated and we paid settlements, do we ever get them numbers?
That would not come through this office. If there was an actual claim or settlement, I believe it goes to the clerk's office, and it also would go to the attorney where they would have that information.
Okay. I'd like to see what we paid out last year for people who were terminated, whether we paid it or our insurance paid it. Thank you. That's all.
Any other questions?
I think Mark can get us that.
That'd be good.
Or Molly.
All right. Thank you.
I've actually recently asked for our last 3 years loss experience. That would be included in that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Mr. Clamp, you had a question?
Yes, sir. And the address is the same, at least I hope. Thought it was a good report. I'd like a little further explanation, though, on 2 items. What's an involuntary termination?
We have 2 classifications. So an involuntary termination for the first category on the report is showing if somebody was terminated for cause. So if a department head did the documentation that they needed appropriately, they would be showing up in the terminated for cause.
Okay.
That may or may not generate an unemployment claim. If the department has done their due diligence, we usually do not have to pay an unemployment claim. If they've not done their due diligence, then we have to pay an unemployment claim.
Yep.
The second category is for, it can be for all different types of things. It can be for example, a commissioner's term ends. That would be an involuntary if the term ended. It could be a seasonal or temporary job that ended. A lot of times it's our flaggers, our mowers. We'll see that increase in the September-October timeframe. Those we're putting in that classification.
Because I noticed there was one, and that came under county commissioners, and I'm sort of curious what that was, and why does...
That would be Commissioner Bixby's position.
Oh, okay, very good, you answered that. Thank you very much.
So people who were elected officials that leave, they're eligible for unemployment?
No, they are not eligible for unemployment, but they do impact our turnover rate.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Tamara?
No.
Well, thank you, Tamara. I believe we're ready for the Patriot Highway.
I'll just start out briefly. Mr. Bradford has been in front of the commission several occasions discussing this, and the last time the board asked us as staff to work with him to develop an MOU that you could consider. It's not staff's position to take a positive or negative approach on this. It's just to draft the MOU that was requested by this board. I believe Mr. Bradford's here to present this to the board for the board's consideration.
Mr. Bradford?
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is John Bradford, representing Via Maris Consulting Group, LLC. My address is 125 Rock Creek Loop, Lansing. And the background on the highway, as we started this approximately five and a half years ago, looking at how we developed the transportation infrastructure into Leavenworth County. We've had several concepts on how we would route the road. The only way the road could be built based on funds of both Missouri and Kansas was to have the road as a toll road, so it would pay off the loan. I have met with the investment groups who are willing to fund the project to the tune of up to $5 billion. We envision this project through the life of the program will bring about 20,000 jobs to Kansas and to Missouri. Provided all the agreements are signed in the next 2 to 3 months, we will be in a position to actually start acquiring land and construction next summer. The rates of tolling will be the same as what currently is used by KDOT. We envision the maintenance of the highway to be done by KDOT under subcontract. The tolling will be by camera. It will not be gates. The envisionment of the highway is we will have it, it will be heated, and it will be set up with embedded Wi-Fi, and it will be set up with electrical charging capabilities so that electrical cars driving over the route of the roadway will be recharged. It will be the latest state-of-the-art technology. The comment earlier that we'll be using taxpayer funds to procure stuff is incorrect. All the funds incurred by all the expenses incurred by the county will be reimbursed by Via Maris. And I think that pretty much sums it up. And I will say one other thing. We envision putting a light rail alongside the highway in that would run out of Edgerton, Gardner area and would run to the airport.
And John, what was the total right-of-way?
We had originally thought about having 900 feet, but we can get by with 600 feet and still do what we want to do. Having both rail and the highway. And part of that, in talking to GIS, is because of the cutouts on the right-of-ways. If you're going through hills, you actually have to go out wider than what you're projecting. And you have to allow yourself room to construct. Mr. Graber?
John, I have a question, and I could be wrong. I am so often. Doesn't current Kansas statute only provide one turnpike within the state, and that's the Kansas Turnpike?
No.
It did?
Not that I can find. And not that KDOT acknowledges. We have dealt this issue with KDOT for 5 years. Always as a private turnpike.
Well, I'm only going by what the former chairman told me on repeated occasions, that the statute only provides for one turnpike within the state.
Yeah, I cannot find anywhere where that says that.
Well, I will follow up on that. I think it needs to be determined. I mean, if there is a limitation, you need to know it. If there isn't.
That is. But when we have negotiated with KDOT as to what their involvement would be and the whole gamut, I was told back April, May of last year that because of the limitations of the state and various statutes on what KTA could oversee, there was a statute that said they can only manage so many stated miles by statute. They would not be able to assume this is a turnpike and manage it through KTA. The only way that would be done is if it was subcontracted back to them as a separate contract and not be the owner of it. I was told the way the project would have to go forward based on state laws is it would be private, it would be a toll road, and that each county throughout the route, which is 5, there's Cass County, Miami County, Johnson, Leavenworth, and Platte, had the power to acquire land, and they had the authority to build highways. And that if we had joint MOAs with all counties affected, get the job done.
This project was talked about as the loop, the outer loop, the intermodal loop.
This is in the
and when KDOT
Mark
was going to do it, correct?
Yeah, this was in Mark, put in to be constructed during 2040. None of us will be around in 2040 probably.
Speak for yourself.
I might. My target's 100 years. I still have 40 to go. In 2040, if we look at the possible route of where this would go, we would probably be running it somewhere out west of Topeka, because all the other land between now and then is going to be built up. And it's going to get much more expensive to build through urban area when you've got $500 million homes, et cetera.
If KDOT was to build that in 2040 and they can only maintain 10,000 lane miles, they'd have to give some of the state highway to the locals to maintain?
No, they would have to change the statute,
okay,
which is tedious at best. And I was told it would take them 3 to 4 years just to get that law changed.
I know when they added 2 more lanes to 24 highway on State Avenue, the county ended up with some more state highway.
And the other point is I'd like to make, we talked earlier about industrial parks. We're building industrial parks in Leavenworth County, which leads you to believe that there will be a lot of semi-truck traffic. We don't have highways to support them. When I moved here in 1991, I used to go to the JCPenney outlet down on, I believe it was 95th. And I could pull out of my driveway and there was one traffic light between my house and that outlet store, and that was on 87th and 435. 10 years later, the last time I checked, I drove that route and there were 38 traffic lights. And it just keeps going up and up and up.
So if we don't build infrastructure in highways to give companies access, we're just going to sit here and dwindle away. If you take the map of Kansas City, you draw a circle around it, you go out 35, 40 miles, what you'll find out is 3/4 of the metro is developed. Leavenworth County is not. And this is one of the ways to get it developed. And
John,
you cannot, one last thing, Mr. Smith, you cannot take existing roadways and convert them over to toll roads. You can only toll new construction.
would you be opposed to having a public meeting and showing, I mean, are you that far along you could show your route? I mean, are you wanting to conceal the route?
I can, because if excuse me, the project will be a design build.
Mm-hmm.
We're planning on using Turner Construction. That may be subcontracted down to Kiewit. But we are prepared in July to go ahead and let that contract if the funding comes through. We should have funding by then.
I believe the board received a lot of concerns over the weekend.
But yeah, I could do a public
If
meeting.
you could do, is that light?
No,
Did I understate that, or?
That was.
Okay, did I understate that we?
I received emails and I received phone calls clear up until the time I went to bed yesterday.
Yeah. There's a lot of
concern, a lot of people that are very anxious on this project.
Welcome to the world of politics.
Right. Well, and like I said, I mean, we really couldn't nail down a route either. But I mean, I'm sure you have an idea within a mile or two where your route would be. Would you be opposed to having a meeting, evening or something?
Not at all.
Tonganoxie, Baser area? I mean, that would be, I can't think of anything other than the VFW in Tonganoxie that would be able to hold that.
I don't know if that's big enough, because I think you're going to get a lot of.
Yes.
Well, actually Lansing also, because it would be going through the Lansing area.
Prior to that meeting, I might suggest that we be briefed by our legal staff and our engineering staff as to what is contained in this proposal. Are there any downsides? What are the problems that exist in it, if there are any?
I believe, are we awaiting an Attorney General's opinion on this?
I submitted a question last week on whether this would require an interlocal agreement. It may, since it's a private agency, and the individual is out of the office, and so I have not heard back, but I think I should hear within the next day or so if it needs to be sent to them for consideration.
Okay. Commissioners got any thoughts on this?
No, I just.
Well, I've got lots of questions, but I guess I would rather wait, and I don't want to take a vote on this today, and I would rather have a public meeting and let everybody voice their opinion, and I think that's a good idea, Commissioner, to have a public meeting.
Would you be able to get the VFW in Tonga, you think, John? Or, I mean, unless you got some other spot.
I don't know if the VFW in Tonga is big enough for the amount of people.
Tonga, Baser, Lansing area.
I don't.
What about Lansing? Lansing, be able to handle that?
I would assume.
Size-wise,
you got more room at the VFW.
I don't think you're going to get that big a turnout.
I think you'd have to have a series of meetings. Not maybe just one, but have a series of meetings.
Different areas.
Because Lansing, Baser, and Tonganoxie are all impacted by the proposed route. So it might be a good idea if he would conduct a few different meetings in different locations.
Okay.
So
Would that be okay, John?
well, so you want me to acquire the meeting room, and I guess Leavenworth Times will publicize the event?
Yeah, and then we could put it on the website.
We can do that.
Okay, let's do that, John.
I will be out of the area. I'm going fishing on Friday for 8 days.
Okay.
I come back on the 4th, and I'm in California for 3 days, and then I'm in Baltimore for about 4 days toward the end of June.
Okay.
So sometime in there, we'll try to.
If you let us know,
John, if
we'll
you
get
want to
the
schedule
information
those,
out.
and if you want to schedule those, just get the dates to us. We'll make sure it goes out on our website.
Okay.
And we'll probably mention it in one of our meetings so that if the newspaper desired, they can pick that
Okay.
up as well.
And just for your info, I'm meeting with Ed Eiler in Johnston County on Wednesday.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Bradford? Mr. Clint?
Who's the third county again?
Cass County,
Cass.
Missouri,
Okay.
Miami,
Miami.
and then Johnson, Leavenworth, Platte.
I'm just wondering, there's only 3 counties on here on it. But I just got this information, and I think it's a unique idea because I was talking to a businessman this morning, and we both had the same event happen in our lives. We get home, and we got a bill. With this business, I took it to an advantage. I sat down and called and talked to the director in Denver area to find out what the concept was. Now, this other individual, he said that he couldn't understand how he had gotten a ticket to pay a bill. He said he didn't get on any interstate. There was no gate to go through. So they ended up sending him a picture, and he went to the back of it, of his RV, and he said, yeah, that's mine. Well, you know, people don't know how it takes place. You got the overhead barn, it takes a picture of the front and the back and identifies everything. And if you don't pay your bill, you don't go back into the state. So you can eliminate a lot of traveling. But I have, as I'm reading through it, you know, like first paragraph, Kansas Department of Transportation has recommended the project be completed as a multi-county toll road to be known as Patriot Highway. And I have written down here in that side, recommended by, is there a memo? Is there an email out on that? I did write down Johnson County next to one. And then there was a forecast of 20 to 30,000 vehicles a day. Okay? I'd like to see that forecast other than in writing. And we all know, if you don't know, there can never be a road change to I-35 and I-29. Buying the buildings they would have to buy would not make it beneficial. You know, and then it talks about the project having problems, maybe not having problems if it fails. There's nothing in here really says who gets what, except they keep theirs and we keep some of ours. I don't see it necessarily failing, but there are just so many questions that, you know, John did answer the right of way. I'd heard 900 foot, and now it's 600 foot, much better. That ain't gonna solve anybody's problem out in the county. Because any of the landowners, I bet you if there's 50 landowners involved, there'll be one that would be happy with it. The other 49 aren't. So somewhere, and I don't know why you'd want to have an open meeting. It was sort of like when the county engineer wanted to hire Boyd as a flagman. You want to go through that penalty, huh? You want to go through that suffering, but it's good to get the people's input.
It is. The public's.
And there will be a lot of input. There'll be a lot of people there that have been invited by their friends because they want mass there. That's okay, I guess. But I think it came down to my final thought process. Is there some kind of, because it says we can draw funds to do certain things. Is there an escrow set up that is held by somebody other than by, what's the name of that company? VMS, yes. I pulled that up, their bio of what it was, and there's not that much on them. But there seems to be, when are we going to get all these questions? And it won't be at the open meeting. The legal document that we're supposedly getting will help, because sometimes you can see a little bit of the same with LCDC when we're trying to do the industrial park. In this operation, you know, we're not involved in any of our money, I understand that, but there has to be something to protect us if anything goes wrong, and I really can't see what it would be at this time. But I'm not totally against. Somewhere you have to get a bypass. Now that's going to help Johnson County significantly because they have bad oxygen. The only time Mark, and I've said this numerous times, ever wants us is when Johnson County, Jackson County, Douglas County, somebody needs some help. We helped them on their water. Johnson County, we should never have done that. We allowed them to pull all this water out. And we take the trash out of the water. Wyandotte County gave them the water. And all that's doing is taking Johnson County from 150th down to 250th. And it's not really a benefit because now we're into highway problems. How many entrances and exits are there on this? That's the other question I had.
I believe it's 9.
9? And that would be a part of what the...
Every major highway that it intersects.
Very good. So that was another one of the questions. That's what you asked for, the board is asking for, to have that meeting where John can come up and give a display.
Yes.
And hopefully people look at it and say, yeah, that answered that question. But there will be some that you won't get answered. And if you've got 50 people there, there'll be 49 plus their 50 people they've invited. It'd be nice to isolate to those that are really involved in it, but you can't do that. So it'd be an interesting meeting. I'll come just for the heck of it, just to see it.
I hope you will.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yes.
Builder and developer, 18650 Wood Parkway, Tongi. I had a lot of questions on the project. I just heard about it on Friday. Hi, Clark. How are you? Eminent domain. What is the precedent in the county for the use of eminent domain in a project? I talked to the county once about doing a development project and asked about using eminent domain and was shut down immediately. So I don't know that is there any precedent for Leavenworth County using eminent domain for a project? I understand it's a state. I'm asking, is there a county precedent for using eminent domain?
We use it for like bridges, road improvements, stuff like that.
Right, but not private projects.
We have not, no.
Right, on a private project, you're taking private land off of people and giving it to a private owner through the use of eminent domain, which is unprecedented that I know of, unless you can tell me an example of that.
And I've gone through this and I've made quite a few remarks and comments and questions, and if you look on County 2 shall, and you go down to D, in the event VM is unable to acquire all required rights of way through a bona fide market rate offer to the affected property owners, the county shall be obligated to assist VM in the right-of-way acquisition. Well, what does that mean? that means maybe condemnation. I am not for that. That's what it seems like to me. That is condemnation. And the verbiage that the reason I didn't like the two previous contracts that come for us, I don't think the county ought to get into condemnation for private parties. I just don't think it's right. And it puts it in such a way that it says shall be obligated to assist. So what does that mean? So to me it means
Shall mean shall.
Condemnation.
Shall mean shall.
Shall be, shall be.
Right. Had some other questions on it. What benefit does the county expect to get from the project, and how is the county going to be compensated for the additional services that the county is going to have to provide? You provide that 20 to 40,000.
We're not going to be
Not going to be compensated. Also, it's basically it's a giveaway.
And that was another one of my questions that I had is, if we give you exclusive rights for a 10-year memorandum, what if someone comes along and says, Leavenworth County, we're going to have this toll road come through your property, through your land here, but we're willing to give you 5% of the toll or 2% of the toll, whatever the funding is. Maybe they could help fund some of our road projects within the county.
We did discuss that at the last time I was here, that we would cut each of the county's funding stream. We did not specify how much.
It's not specified in this documentation.
No. I heard the positives from Mr. Bradford on there. I looked at some of I'm looking at some of the negatives. I think if you have a public meeting, you better bring a helmet, and some goggles. I think might be a good idea, because the sentiment I'm hearing is vehemently against it. I also looked at the KDOT, the statute on them having to change the state roads maintained. And right now, I'm looking at, I'd like to see Leavenworth Road paved, from 179th to say 185th. That would be a nice county improvement. And I don't see how the services that the county is giving now can keep up. And you put the additional, they're saying 20 to 40,000 additional cars that are going to break off and come through. The traffic is going to be wear and tear. Semis come off of the highway, and then they have to travel down a state road or county roads to get to their locations, and they tear up the roads. That's good. I think it's going to put tremendous strain on the county budget. The county maintains county roads. Not the highway, but the feeders off of the highway to and from the highway the county maintains. And you start running semi-trucks onto the county roads. We do chip and seal roads in the county. Just the garbage trucks on my road, on Wood Parkway, have eaten up the road. Just having the trash truck once a week. I have ruts that are 16 inches wide. The road's breaking off at the edges. And I basically pay for that road. When I built that, I also built 190th Street from Leavenworth Road to Wood Parkway. And watch it deteriorate with just minor traffic. Just minor traffic.
And I'd kind of like to ask Dave, are you here to answer any questions?
Well, we came to hear. We can answer questions.
The question I have is, just for the sake of saying, say we pass this and sign it off, and Mr. Bradford goes out, and it's like Louis Klemp says, if you got 50 farmers out here and you present this to them, probably 49 are going to say no and 1 is going to say yes. Well, say you get spotting of easements that they get, and then the project kind of falls apart, but they still have those easements. will that impact the county roads and say, we want to put a road down here now? Well, they've got an easement right in the middle of our road, and how would we go about developing that road then?
I don't think I'm completely following your question.
In other words, if someone else has an easement for that road right in the middle of the existing road, or right on the edge of the existing road, how are we going to widen that road and kind of like 147th Street or McIntyre or even Eisenhower? How are we going to, I mean, if someone else already has the easement there for the road project, how are we going to get an easement for that road project? I think it's tying our hands for the county by giving them a 10-year abatement. And I just, it's something to think about.
Yes, I think that question may have been in our, I'm assuming you guys were giving our comments.
Yes.
I think that question may have been one of our comments. What happens to that right-of-way that they acquired if the project falls apart?
Right.
I think that's kind of...
That's what I'm asking.
That was a question we raised also.
Yeah.
The question of the 10 years allows time to acquire the land, work our way through all the lawsuits that will come up, because there will be some. So we're not stuck here halfway through the project and we're building and somebody says, oh, time's up. We have a half-completed project that cannot pay for itself at that point. Then you have a major bankruptcy issue.
Chairman, the questions that have been raised, I think, point to the issue I was bringing up earlier. We need an opportunity for the staff, not only our engineering staff, but our legal staff, Mr. Van Paris, to brief us on this document. What are its pluses? What are its problems? What could the county be involved in later on? I don't want to move forward until I have that meeting.
Okay. And then, like I said, if Mr. Bradford's willing to put together a public meeting,
yes,
that would
fine.
Answer a lot of people's questions.
But I think that meeting should be held after we have our meeting, so that we are at least prepared and understand what the possible problems might be for Leavenworth County.
Okay. I think Mr. Bradford said it'd be late June before he could put together a meeting.
Or July. And
or
I
July.
agree with Mr. Graber.
Okay.
Because once I do those meetings, if you think the last couple of days were bad, you're in for a firestorm.
Yeah. And to comment on the gentleman that was here earlier, I'd like to see Leavenworth Road hard surface from all the way to Tonganoxie Road. That way we'd have a connecting blacktop. But 185th wouldn't quite make it there. So, anyway.
And on the issue of road deterioration, the county is not under any obligations to maintain the toll road. That's all at the expense of VM.
Okay. Right.
But the real impetus for the project is to bring economic development to Leavenworth County. And I've been here for 26 years, and I don't see anybody jumping up to significantly change Leavenworth for the better and bring growth. This project has tremendous growth. As Ed Allard said when we briefed him 2 years ago on the project, he stood up in a meeting of about 50 people, got on his feet and looked straight at me and said, "This is the greatest project to come to Northeast Kansas in the history of Kansas." Because everybody sees the potential of what it would do throughout the entire route. And I might add, for anybody that does not know the total scope, this road will go from Harrisonville, Missouri, all the way over to Edgerton, and will come up to just south of McIntyre, cross over on a new bridge and tie in at Berry Road 152.
I think that's what a lot of the public wants to know. wants to know the scope of the project, the route, within reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't expect we're going to get down into all the details.
Right.
Who's my account manager and what's the company's name? I won't go into that.
Right.
So, all right.
Gentlemen behind. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
I just have a couple questions before the public meeting. Again, Michael Stretch, 1823 Donovan Road. Is the MOU terms, is that document available for the public to review? We can get a copy of it.
You can have that copy. I've got an extra.
It's on the website with the agenda.
Is this the proposed revisions from last meeting?
That's a memorandum right there.
Okay.
That's what was in my packet. I already have my copy here.
You mentioned in here that the eminent domain would be at market value. And Kansas statute actually for private eminent domain requires 200% the value. I assume that's being considered.
I would assume.
And as far as the right of way is concerned, if I own a 10-acre lot and you want to come take the back acre, is that all I'm entitled to? Because that changes my way of life from my animals and my hay and everything else. That changes the whole aspect of life in the country. So, just some things to think about. I've got a lot more other questions, but I'll let the public hearing happen before I get into that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Has anybody also researched the K-10 Gateway project as a design build? That might be worth your interest in researching that as well. So.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this? I believe we're got some. No, leaving. We ready for executive session? All right. I move to protect the attorney-client privilege. The board will go into executive session to discuss employment contract matters. Present would be the 3 commissioners, contract counsel Roger Mars, and outside counsel Scott Ryburn. For the term of 30 minutes in this room. We will go in at 10:05 and return at 10:35 in this room.
So moved.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
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 Make sure the camera's off.
So you're cutting into this room?
Yes, sir. Are we ready?
Yeah.
We're going to return to regular session at 10:35, and no decisions were made. The discussion was limited to the attorney-client privilege. I'll make a motion to allow Mr. Rayburn to continue negotiations for 2 more weeks with the contract employees. And if we're not resolved in 2 weeks, to seek declaratory judgment against the contracts.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Any other to be brought up in the meeting?
To discuss next week's agenda.
Oh, that's right. Next week is a holiday, and then I'll also be gone Thursday to the commission deal. So we didn't know if we wanted to have 2 meetings on Wednesday, Tuesday, either day.
Whatever day is convenient for both of you.
It's up to you.
Do we have any, Next week, do we have anything
It's a light
on
week
Tuesday
next
or Wednesday? Like,
What are we doing?
of course, we're going to
No,
have
Mark
workforce
meeting's
and Mark
tomorrow.
meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, I think next week either day would work.
Yeah.
Tuesday?
All right.
Tuesday.
All right, we'll put it on the agenda for Tuesday. Also, would commissioners want to approve Mr. Rayburn's bill? Have you seen it?
Nope, I have not.
I move approval.
Commissioner, have you seen it?
Yeah.
All right. We have a motion to approve Mr. Rayburn's bill for the amount of $3,210.67.
So moved.
Second. Voting.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Then a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Voting.
Aye.
Thank you.